Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm Amanda Farrer of Inspiring Inkin. Welcome to my craft room. In today's video we're going to be making this shaker card. It's really quick and simple to make. I've actually got 3 variations to show you. So let's turn the camera around and get crafting. So here are all the shaker cards. As I said, there are 3 different designs that I've actually done. So we've got the deer and the church and the one that I'm actually going to be doing, which is the polar bears. So they're all made in exactly the same way. What I'm going to do first off is just show you the products that I'm using, just to sort of explain that. I'll leave the polar bears out. The 2 main things that you're going to need are the dies, and these are called the Snow Globe Scenes dies and the Snow Globe Shaker Domes. So the shaker domes come in a set of 10 in a pack. I do suggest that you get plenty of them. Obviously it's in a mini catalogue, so we don't know whether these are going to carry forward or not. So if you do love these and love the idea of these, I would stock up on them. So we're actually going to take one of those out for later. And then I have just bought the dies. Now there is a stamp set that goes with this. I'll put the details up on the screen for you. And it's actually got a lovely little cottage. And this die is the only one that actually cuts out the stamped image. So all of the others are to make these scenes. So this is the deer and then the trees. You've got these 2 components here which make the church. So they layer one on top of another, and I'm hoping there's not too much reflection here. But underneath, I've cut out the church in crumb cake, and underneath the church I've put some champagne foil. So basically all you're going to do is cut this out, and then I stuck a piece of champagne foil to the underside and then just trimmed it round. So, and then that piece layers on the top like so. So that's the church. You've then got the polar bears, which is what I'm going to be using in a minute. You've then got these 2 components. Now these make the stand for your snow globe to go on. You can actually use either or both together, which is how I've actually used it. So I've cut out the plain shape in silver foil and then the detailed one in silver glitter or glimmer. And then this is the one that makes the magic, which actually cuts out the hole for this to go in. Okay, so to save time, I have already cut everything out. So I thought that would really help. The other things that I'm using, Seaside Spray Shimmer Ribbon. You would think I would know the names of everything, but this is a punch and I don't know what it's called. So again, magic of editing. You've got to love some editing. I'll put the name up, but it goes with the stamp set, but I love it for the little stars. And speaking of stars, I'm actually using these tiny stars to make the night sky. So that's from So Many Stars, and Itty Bitty Christmas as well for the sentiment. Okay, now before I start, what I want to say is I tried so many different ways to make this card, and I had glitter everywhere and sparkles everywhere, and it was all a little bit crazy. So this is the way that I have found to do it the quickest, the easiest, and the way with least mess. So I'm just going to get a piece of grid paper, and then we're going to get started. So I'm going to need a piece of grid paper because I'm going to be using my sponges. Now I'm starting out with a standard card blank. So for me, this measures 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. I've got a layer to go on the inside, which is this one, which is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and also a early espresso layer as well to go on the front. So that is the same size, so 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And then I've got a second layer for the front. You're only going to see the back of it, a little bit of it. But this is the next size down. So this is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. And this is what's going to make all the difference to your world. Okay, so you can use a sponge or a sponge dauber, and we're going to make the background. I've got some Night of Navy ink, and what you want to do is go round and round in circles, and you want to go over about 2/3 of the background, and the more you rub, the more blended and more even it's going to look. It will lighten a little bit when it's dry. But if I just show you here, if you just go up and down, you're going to get spots, and you don't want spots. So you want to just keep going over and over and rubbing like you're cleaning windows, really. Okay. And it doesn't matter about this bit because nobody's going to see it. So I'm going to get my little stars, and this is such a cute, such a good stamp. It's got tiny dots that could be snow, but also tiny stars, and hopefully the camera will pick it up. It just gives a great starry night background, and I'm going right down so that just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Now you can leave it like this, but if you want it to look a little bit snowy as well, you can use this awesome stuff, which is shimmer paint, and this is Frost White. It's got ball bearing in it, and it's very, very shimmery. So you have to give it a really good shake to shake up all the mica. And then you want to put a tiny drop on a block or a plate. And then a little bit of water. Whoa. And then get yourself a paintbrush. And that is way too much water. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit to one side here and add a little bit more shimmer paint. That's just too runny. Okay, I got a little bit too enthusiastic there. So, and you'll be able to see the difference. There's much more shimmer here, and that's much more watery. Okay, and then what you're going to do is use a second paintbrush or a pencil and just splat over the top. Or what you can do is use your finger, and you want tiny splats, you can do that too. So I'm going to kind of go for a bit of a mixture. There we go. Okay, let's move that out of the way because I'm bound to stick my finger in it. Okay, so that's your background. Whilst we've got the stamp out, let's stamp the inside. And stamp the greeting as well. So I have already cut these out. These are using the stitched shaped dies. So in that set you've got circles, ovals and squares, so it's a great set for all sorts of different sentiments. But I'll just get my Happy Christmas out. Let's see if I can actually aim it in the right place. That's why I've got two, just in case. Let's hope that will be okay. Yeah, hooray. Okay, so that's done as well, so I can get rid of the ink pad. Okay, so let's have a look at the front part. So you are going to cut out this snow globe shape from the front of your card, and then what I did was I embossed it using the Subtles embossing folder. So magically, here's one I made earlier, and I also cut out the two pieces for the base, and I've also cut out my little polar bears. So whilst I'm still waiting for this to dry a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and stick the base together. Now this obviously is quite intricate, it's quite tricky to glue. You can use the fine tip glue or other types of glue, but my preferred method is to use Tombow multi-purpose glue and stick it on the back. So what I do is I've got a piece of sponge that I just use for this, and just put a little bit of glue on my silicone mat, and then dab the sponge in, and then just dab all over, and then stick it on the top. And then the glue isn't going to show, it's not anywhere else that it doesn't need to be, but it will layer perfectly. And do you want to know some really good news? If you are in Europe, we have been without stocks of this glue for some considerable time. It is coming back into stock on the 3rd of December 2019. It'll be restricted to 3 bottles per order, just while we get through the initial backlog of people wanting to stock up on their glue. But Stampin' Up have assured us that they've got more than enough supplies for 2 years worth. So yeah, we're going to have glue back. I'm so excited. Yeah, and as you know, if you've been watching my videos before, this is my favourite glue. So believe it or not, we're actually nearly finished. So let's just put a few bits together. So put the inside layer in. Which is good. Then what we're going to do is position the polar bears on here. And the way to do that is to get your early espresso layer and put this behind. Now what you're actually going to do is, this is 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around. So you want to make sure it's even all the way around, and then you are going to get your polar bears and stick them in. Now I want them to be on a base of snow, so I'm just going to take a piece of white card and just with my thumb and fingers just going to tear a strip. Yeah, so that's going to go there. I'm just going to make it a bit shorter. So holding this piece down, what I'm going to do is just position that where I need it to go. I don't want it to be too high though, so it's going to go about there. Okay, I'm just going to check that in doing that I haven't moved this. So let's just bring that back. So that's there. So that's great. So that's in the right place. So I'm just going to lift it up a little bit and just put a little bit of Tombow underneath and pin that down. And again, it takes a couple of seconds just to keep lining this up, but it will all be worth it in the end. So I'm just going to put my 2 polar bears on top of the snow, and just moving it so that the big polar bear is just facing down a little bit, so otherwise the little polar bear's nose won't quite reach. So that's going to go just like that. And I'm going to get myself a star. Got some silver foil on my desk somewhere. There we go. And I think, I'm not sure which size star I used. Was it that one? No, I think I used the next size up actually, so I'm just going to use that star there. Tiny dot of Tombow and pop that down there as well. Okay, so this is all complete. This is all complete. So now we can get our dome and finish off the card. So there are 2 pieces of glue tape. So there's a piece on this side and there's a piece on this side. So the first thing we need to do is take the glue off the front and just lift it off. And then you're going to position this inside the hole. Now just take a second or two just to make sure it's exactly where you want it. You want the base to be fairly straight, like so. And then we are going to put in some sequins and some glitter. Now these are called snowflake sequins and they are awesome because they are actually teeny tiny stars and snowflakes. Now it's a bit tricky working out how many stars and how much glitter and stuff to put in, because if you put too much in you run the risk of not seeing your image on the back, but if you don't put enough in, it's not going to have enough of a shake. So what I do is I put enough to cover about half of the base, if that kind of makes sense. So as you're looking at that, there's a section around it, but there's sort of half there. And you can use any kind of glitter, whatever you want. Now, this is this is a tricky bit, kind of tricky. You need to put glue all over this area here. So you're just going to lift off the tape. Just be gentle with it, because what you don't want to do is shake all of your glitter and everything out. And then you're going to position this on top. And because we measured it at the beginning, we know that everything is going to be in the right place. But you always worry a tiny bit. But look, yay! It is all in the right place. The snow's in there. We've got enough of a shake. Awesome. Okay, so let's just finish off the card. We're just going to put the stand just on there like that. And then the Happy Christmas and the ribbon. Right, so I always use snail when I'm pinning ribbon down, just because it grabs it better, quicker than Tombow does. So just trim that off. Ooh. That does not want to trim today. There we go. And dimensionals. And pin that down, and then this layer is going to have more Tombow all over it. And it's going to go on the front of the card, and that will be it. The card is finished. Right, just put that out of the way. So there we go. There is your finished shaker card. So I hope my hints and tips on making the snow globes have helped you. All of the products that you will have seen today are available in my online store. If you scroll down, if you're on my blog or on YouTube, you'll see links directly to the items, or you can go over to my blog, which is www.inspiringinkin.com, and there is a shop button there. Please do subscribe to both my YouTube channel and my blog, and leave me a comment. I love to hear from you, and I answer each and every one. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.